5:45 p.m., which means it's time for BCTV's weekly Media Roundup 545 Live. I'm Roland Boyden.
And I'm Abby Sherlock. On deck tonight, footage from the New Hampshire primary as well as last night's Brattleboro Selectboard Candidates Forum, all the details on 90,000 gallons of contaminated water at Vermont Yankee in Vernon, and we'll get you an advanced look at NEYT's Jungle Book and BUHS's Rent, opening nights on our calendar.
All that and more, and we'll do it in just 15 minutes, so stick with us.
No, next person push me, we fight.
Welcome back to this February 12th, 2016 edition of 545 Live. A look there at some of the New Hampshire primary drama this week as Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders took a commanding 60 to 38% lead in this past Tuesday's Democratic primary vote in the Granite State, while Donald Trump took a predicted first place on the Republican side, with second place going to Iowa absentee Ohio Governor John Kasich, whose campaign looks to be strengthened by happenings in New Hampshire, while proving a final stop for others like New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who announced this week he would be dropping out of the Republican race. Meanwhile, Sanders managed not only a majority victory in New Hampshire, he managed to secure a lead in all demographics save for those making over $250,000 a year, something that speaks to the nature of his candidacy as he continues to challenge the status quo for wealth inequality in America. He and Clinton will now both look to South Carolina and Nevada before turning their gaze to Super Tuesday.
And with that, into the local headlines we go, and we'll start with this week's BUHS annual meeting, as even with nearly $28 million on the line, less than 0.8% of the voting population turned out to discuss the BUHS District Number 6 school board budget at their annual meeting on Tuesday, with attendance numbers that are actually up quite a bit from last year, perhaps due in part to the fact that it was reported prior to the meeting that 2 retired BUHS teachers were planning on introducing an additional $12,000 into the budget via amendment at the annual meeting in order to reinstate lost staff in the language department. A motion heavily opposed by the administration, who cited the program's low enrollment and the large subsequent tax penalties if they go over their budget cap as reasons for their move to reject the amendment.
So if we put $12,000 into this budget, we're above the cap, we hit a penalty, and it's going to increase taxes as a result of that. So I would let you know that we're very supportive of foreign language in all the programs that we have at BUHS, the middle school and career center. We just can't justify programs in classes with 5 to 7 students in them.
The motion was ultimately defeated by a vote of 71 to 52, though the overall budget of $27,983,000 was unanimously passed later in the meeting. The budget, which runs at $17,349 per equalized student, is roughly a 1% increase over last year's budget, and you can see all the debate and the details at the annual meeting, which is available to stream at BrattleBoroTV.org, and will show all this week on Channel 10 as well.
Next up, Brattleboro contested races have been sparse in recent years, making this year's three-way race for a pair of one-year select board seats all the more exciting, as one-time board chair Dick DeGray looks to return to politics, while newcomer Avery Schwenk, co-founder of the Hermit Thrush Brewery, looks to bring his business acumen to the mix, both hoping to unseat incumbent and current board chair David Gartenstein. Now the 3 candidates gathered here on the second floor of the Municipal Center last night for the first Select Board debate of the season, hosted by WKVT and BCTV to debate the issues and make the case for their respected candidacy to the voters.
There's a thriving young community in Brattleboro that I have heard is feeling very left out of the political scene as of now. And I think that having a voice for those people would be a great benefit to the town.
I want to continue my work on Select Board, making our town government responsive, open, and transparent, and making sure the town services are provided in a cost-effective way.
I certainly have the experience, and I can hit the ground running. I have been an active member in our community for 30-plus years.
You can watch that full debate, which aired live on BCTV Channel 10 last night. It's available to stream as we speak on BrattleboroTV.org, and will show several times leading up to election night, just 2 clicks up the dial on Channel 10 as well. Now, speaking of the Brattleboro Select Board, they filed their annual report for 2015 after a busy year with 39 meetings. The year began with the induction of Peter Elwell as town manager, who has since been hard at work. The Select Board also adopted new zoning and subdivision regulations late in the year. These new regulations provide the foundation for better land use throughout the years to come. Another big issue the Select Board tackled was the renovation of the police and fire facilities and the potential movement of the police department to Black Mountain Road. The Select Board watched the transition to pay-as-you-throw and reports a reduction of over 50% in trash collection since the new system has started. In infrastructure, blinking pedestrian lights were installed at the crosswalks downtown, and a dog and skate park were both approved. The Select Board will continue to make improvements and aid the community in 2016 as well.
All right, with that, time to launch into our Commons News Report, and we've got a split screen to go along with that here. Let's see if we can get that queued up. With a Mike Fayer penned article entitled "Groundwater Problems Emerge at VY," Entergy says it had expected leaking in a turbine building, but the amount has far exceeded expectations. With Mike's article detailing the plant's plan for more than 90,000 gallons of contaminated groundwater that has accumulated on site in Vernon, something VY officials have filed with the NRC to deal with a plan that would see them shipping at least 200,000 gallons of the water by truck to a U.S. Ecology Inc. site in Idaho for disposal. As for the cause of the surprise groundwater, most of it is due to excess rainwater this fall. That's according to Entergy Vermont Yankee Senior Communications Specialist Marty Cohn, who was quoted in the article as saying, "Any water that comes into the protected area, rainwater, etc., becomes part of our on-site radioactive water inventory, and then we have to come up with ways to dispose of it." Now, for more on what has become kind of an intricate issue with plenty of filings and paperwork, state and federal agencies involved in the mix, you can read all about all of it by looking at Mike's full article, which is available not just on the front page of the most recent issue of the Commons, but also at commonsnews.org, the Commons official website, which is where we're at right now with this here split screen you're looking at. All right, with that, time to move out of the Commons News Report and on with the local headlines.
A recent study has revealed that Vermont is spending around 10% too much on schools. A 300-page report from Alan Auden, Lauren Pikus, and Michael Griffith states that Vermont could have saved over $150 million in schools during the 2014-2015 school year. Most of the money was revealed to be going to the special education programs and the high proportion of teachers to students. According to William Mathis, schools have too many paraprofessionals and teaching aides than needed in the special education departments. Pikus is now suggesting changes to unify the school districts across the states to hopefully save more than $20 million. Pikus also reports that smaller class sizes lead to more per-pupil spending, and shifting class sizes would save millions.
Next up, local gun owners in Vermont are working with the Center for Health and Learning to reduce firearm-related suicides in Vermont. The main effort is to open up a discussion and spread information to keep gun owners safe. The model's being based off of the New Hampshire Gun Shop Project and encourages gun dealers to display informational posters at their storefronts. There'll also be a 90-minute training session that discusses risk factors and warning signs of suicide. Gun Owners of Vermont President Ed Cutler is looking to spread a positive community to prevent suicide in any way in the tight-knit community of Vermont gun owners.
And with that, it's time to launch into our BCTV video calendar, which is all sponsored by the Brattleboro Savings and Loan, whose contributions to BCTV each year help fund our weekly look at upcoming events. And we'll start with a look down Main Street to the New England Youth Theater as they get set to present The Jungle Book this weekend, opening tonight at 7 p.m. with 2 shows tomorrow at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. and a final show Sunday the 14th at 2 p.m. This dance-filled physical production tells the classic story of Mowgli that was written here in Brattleboro by Rudyard Kipling himself. The show is being directed by Peter Gould with Shoshi Bass, Chris Yerlig, and Bill Forchion. Tickets are $11 for adults and $7 for students.
Next up on our calendar, the BUHS Music Department presents Rent School Edition this weekend. Opening night was yesterday, Thursday at 4, with shows tonight at 7 p.m. and tomorrow night as well. The show follows 8 friends living in New York City in the late 1980s during the AIDS epidemic. The music department teamed up with the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont to talk about how this disease affects those living with it. However, due to the mature content, the show is not recommended for children under the age of 13.
Speaking of BUHS returned back to the BUHS halls yesterday, February 11th. This high school news show presents the school's announcements, weather, and sports updates twice a week, along with showing film and Photoshop projects that the students also work on during the semester. The students write the segments and scripts and are responsible for putting together a show in just a short hour. BUHS TV will run for the remainder of the school year into June.
And that also means we get a chance to put their weather reports here on 545 Live, see what's happening with this weekend's weather. What's it look like, guys?
Saturday is going to be a high of 9 and a low of -10. And then Sunday is going to be a high of 11 and a low of -4. So those 2 days are going to be pretty cold. Let's see. And then Monday is going to be a high of 26 and a low of 19. And that's all me and Emma have for you guys today. Back to the desk.
That does it for another edition of 545 Live. Thanks for checking in with us, but be sure to check in with us next week as well. We'll be back right here on BCTV Comcast Cable Channel 8 at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, thanks for watching.